So, Haney, what do you think Chikara actually means?
Actual meaning?
Yes.
That's a good question. Chikara, Chikara, Chikara.
You can Google it if you want.
Chikara, Chikara. That's something I never even thought of. Is it to do with the style?
No, it actually, I only know that because I watched a few videos this morning, but have a look.
Chikara. It's craziness.
No, it's not.
What is it? Tell me.
It means power.
Is it some anime bullshit?
Well, I presume so, based on all the stuff we obviously watched in it. Any Wrestling Industry Series 2, we were looking at Chikara, obviously, for episode 1. I mean,
Yep.
You're absolutely right. I think you said it best. It's probably one of the most bizarre promotions I've ever seen.
Yes, and what was it? Ironically, it's influenced some of the like the nonsense, not in a negative way. It was meant to be fun, but it's transitioned some of the stuff that it's doing into what people perceive as modern wrestling as well. It was a sort of trendsetter. You know.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about all that stuff and that. But yeah, talking about obviously Chikara and the good stuff. We don't want to focus on obviously the negative. If people want to look at that, go search it. Go say, hey, there's too much negativity when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah, if you want negative, go and watch the Young Bucks match. Fuck them.
But on that bombshell, roll the intro. Ain't it great to see you again? We obviously spoke literally half an hour ago.
Yep, we did. It was good.
It was kind of a bit confusing though, because we completely forgot there was 2 episodes of LFG last week. So we spent most of our time going, what the hell's happening? So it turns out I've missed an episode and you've watched both.
Yes, I had seen the episode we were talking about, and so we're watching it, and obviously you start talking about it. I'm going, that's not the one I watched recently.
So what we're going to need to do now is, right, I've got 3 episodes to watch next week, which is like 3 hours and stuff like that. So next week we've got 3 full episodes to talk about.
Yeah, I know. It's really how things changed.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, man. But I mean, as always, mate, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, as always.
Good.
Staying out of trouble. We're trying to stay out of trouble. Not succeeding, but still, yes, trying and nonetheless.
You never cause trouble. What are you on about?
No, I don't. Never cause trouble.
No, exactly. So I don't know what you're on about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff like that. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a busy week and stuff. We also spoke about the thing with the show for 3 and stuff. So it's been obviously a great week all around. But yeah, anyway, before we talk about Chikara, let's get some wrestling news out of the way. We haven't really spoke about much.
Yeah,
WWE releases. I mean, let's be honest, that list is really surprising.
What was it? Yeah, I mean, let me just bring up the list just to confirm. What was it? Releases. Oh, there's more happening just now, by the way.
What else is on the list?
Shotzi's just been reported has gone. So there's obviously another set today.
Who else? Okay, that's interesting. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because I know Shotzi, follows me.
Yeah, she's a good.
Is there any more? Or is that the only one for a minute?
I'm just checking. That's the first one I've seen. So yeah. So going through the list of the ones yesterday, there was Braun Strowman.
Yep.
That's a big one. You can go back to control the narrative with EC3.
Where even is? Do you know what the thing is? Where even is EC3? Is he still the NWA?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So even
Yeah.
I'm not too sure of that.
I think he's burnt a lot of bridges, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Can't really say
uh,
much on that one.
yeah, I bet you wished he never said it, like shot his mouth off. What was it after his last release with WWE? Because the chances are he might have got another run at it, you know. So Dakota Kai, which is a shame, she's good, but she's always injured.
Mm-hmm.
Shayna Baszler was a bit of a strange one. What was it? Caden Carter. What was it? The original badass with the great ass. She was the first one to post that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. What was it? Katana Chance. So we've got Gigi Dolan, Willie Osborne, Eddie Thorpe, Chikara Jackson, Gallus. So obviously they're the Scottish guys.
Mm-hmm.
It was Javier Barnell. So there's been quite a few. So it sounds like there's more names going today. Because I've seen Shotzi and I think is Danny Palmer gone? Can't be right.
I've seen Danny Palmer, but it's not on the list I've got in front of me. But I do know she's obviously down that sort of somewhere's list. So we need to obviously confirm that. We don't want to get the information it's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't report on any of the ones that are getting reported just now. It's probably legitimate, but yes.
Now
So
there's quite a few surprising ones. I mean, like I said, I'm a massive fan of Gigi Dolan. Do you know what I mean? Incredible talent and stuff like that.
yeah,
But the thing for me, and I pointed it out to James, obviously one of the group chats. Since obviously the thing is with Mandy Rose left, she's kind of got left like in the shuffle a little bit.
yeah. It's hard to what was it? Hard to sort of break out of that. What was it? She's been doing stuff in TNA and that as well. So um, it's all very interesting. What was it? Obviously, how it's going to play out and where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully at the end of it, they'll all. I mean, I think Matt Cardona posted something about like now's your chance to go and reinvent yourself and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what
but
wasn't one of the things he said like run off your WWE name or something.
yep, you know, which is which is quite ironic, considering Matt Cardona uh, can easily say that because of his WWE name.
And that's what's happened, though. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at
Yeah.
the Zack Ryder thing. Do you know what I mean? Incredible. Do you know what I mean? He's lived off it.
Woo woo woo, you know it.
Dear, but yeah, I mean, but you're absolutely right. I'm just looking now. The reason obviously Shots has been rumored is because she's been moved to the alumni page.
Yeah.
So yeah, there could be a lot more coming. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. We don't want to hear anybody. But we don't like to hear about people losing their jobs and things like that. So,
No,
uh,
but yeah, I mean, Cora Jade's another one. I mean, the thing is, you're absolutely right. Again, Joe, she's injury prone, and again, but the thing is, when wrestlers are injury prone, it's great. Well, I'm not saying it's great and stuff like that. It's really sad because they get like the momentum killed.
yep. No, definitely. I don't know if you noticed, but the English FA are doing. I think it was the English FA. There's a news story during the week over here about doing more research into the fact why women athletes what was it, seem to get more recurring ACL injuries and things like that than men. So I know James spoke about that in a podcast. What was it recently? And what was it? But obviously there's something there. There's some truth to that. And I think a lot of female wrestlers have suffered from sort of ACL injuries, which is quite unfortunate, and knee injuries. So, is it to do with the training regime? Is it to do with the wrestling? What was it? Just in general, obviously, women have got what was it, a smaller frame than typically men. So hopefully they can get to the bottom of that because there's some amazing talent that get short-lived runs because of injuries and what was it? It's not that they aren't good enough to be there. Sometimes what was it? It's just your luck that like you get that sort of bad run, you get injured and you get knocked out. And there's always the female wrestling. What was it? what was it, roster in the WWE is so competitive. You know, if you lose your run, it's going to take you it's hard to get back on there unless you're like a top tier guy. You know, um, hopefully, but we can get to the bottom of that. But I think that's a big reason of why females are wrestlers are getting injured. A lot of them have been what was it? Had long term injuries.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called? Shotzi's just back from one as well. So you sort of wonder if that plays in. That they've had 5 or 6 injuries or whatever, and then they think, right, it's time to pass and move on. You know, on to try somebody else and somebody new.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, I'm just thinking now when you said a thing like that is GD Dillon obviously partners with Tatum Paxley, which is another female talent.
Yeah.
Is this one gonna like leave her like stranded in a way?
Well, you just don't know. What I mean, what was it? With the WWE, I mean, Indy's just appeared. Indy Hartwell's just appeared in the WWE, and that's one I didn't think they would ever release. I thought she was fantastic. She'd just been called up to the main roster. She was amazing, amazing
Mm-hmm.
talent. You know, had a sort of unique look to her. You just don't know. You sort of worry. What was it? These things tend to be in phases. You usually get a couple of days of them, so hopefully not.
Well, thing is, with Indy now, I know she's obviously signed to TNA.
Yep.
So it'd be really interesting to see. Really, now we're still talking about the partnership. How many of these are going to actually show up in TNA?
I would say likely most of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll definitely see. But yeah, I mean, we know these things happen. Do you know what I mean? But and like I said, there's more to come. Who do we think's next?
I don't know. Trying to think who potentially on there. What was it? You never know with these things. You always get a couple of shocks. I know Braun's probably the biggest shocker. Probably
Mm-hmm.
some from the main roster. You know. What was it called? It's hard to say. You know, hard to say.
No, so if I remember rightly, some of these have got 90 days no compete clause, but I do know Gigi's obviously 30 because she posted that.
Yep. I think some of them aren't actually the releases. They just haven't had their contracts extended, and people need to stop being arsy about it online as well, because they don't complain about the NBA or the NFL or the MLB or the NHL or whatever other sports that they're into releasing thousands of people a year. You know, it seems to be like this message about because the WWE's get money they shouldn't be releasing. They're a business, you know. What was it? They've got a constant conveyor belt of what was it? Of talent coming in and going, and you need to grab your chance, you know, and stand out. And I know sometimes that's probably easier than it sounds, you know, but that's just the reality of the industry they're in. It's the same with the industry any of us are in. It's the strongest always make it to the top, you know. So um, it's a difficult one. I'm sure they'll all find work, hopefully. Um,
Well, that's the thing, though. Now, I mean, we're in a world now where there's so much outside WWE. You've got
yeah,
AEW, you've got TNA, you've got New Japan, you've got Stardom, you've got MLW, you've got the UK wrestling scene as an example.
yeah. The thing is, though, some of these females came into the WWE not as wrestlers; they came in from other industries, you know. But from the one thing that I'm told about the WWE is if you get an NXT contract, there's all sorts of business management skills taught. There's opportunities for advancing your education through degrees and things like that, and then that's all sort of paid for as part of what you do in NXT. You know, while you're there, you can sort of take advantage of all these programs. And from what I read, a lot of the female predominantly take advantage of all these things. You know, which is good. Um, in good standing. Some of them will naturally fade out of wrestling and go on to do other things. But you know, what an experience to have for a young male or female to just go into an industry like that, you know, and try give it a go, and not work out, but come out of it, the end of it with something, you know, which a lot of them have. But if you read about the NXT program, it's not just about learning to wrestle. You know, they provide them with all sorts of life skills and things. So there's a positive there, you know. Obviously, you've got on the other scale of things, you've got Braun Strowman, which is a weird one. Shayna Baszler, you know, But if anybody's going to end up in the EW, it's probably her. Just because of her friends over there. But you know, maybe she shouldn't. Maybe I mean she signed a new deal last year. You know, but so she's not one of the ones that's been released from like just our contracts run out. She's actually been released. Sorry. So I'll be interested to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely stay tuned for obviously more people being released. I'm just looking at wrestling news, obviously, as you were talking there, and TNA informs talent at ban of excessive blood and blading. Should they put this in AEW more likely?
Yes, there's no need for it. There's absolutely no need for all this bleeding and that goes on.
Yeah, it does get a little bit too much. So just to read a little bit. It says TNA Wrestling has reported instituted a significant policy change regarding the use of blood in its matches. Incoming talent on Friday, May the 2nd, that excessive blood and intentional bleeding will no longer be permissible. The news was first reported by PW Insider. According to the report, TNA officials communicate the new edit to the locker room during a talent meeting via the internet communications earlier today. So, I mean, yeah, the thing is obviously blading. Do you think this has got something to do with the partnership as well a little bit?
Possibly, but there's no reason. There's no reason for all the blading and bleeding that goes on in wrestling. So, in my view, anyway. So, it's it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one, but I'm sure it'll all work out. But I agree with it. It's not needed. It doesn't provide anything. It just provides shock value and then it's forgotten about. You know, what was it? Wrestling should be about moments you remember years down the line. You know, not something that was happened. Like remembering what happened 3 weeks ago, and then 4 weeks later you've forgotten all about it because something else happened. You know,
Like a revolving door, isn't it?
it is. You know, it's all about creating moments and things like that. And blading and that's done so often now. You desensitize to it. You know.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see with that one. I don't even know what to say about this one, but Hulk Hogan says American freestyle wrestling will be bigger than WWE and the UFC.
Well, at least he's ambitious.
The launch of American style wrestling has become a hot topic in recent days, fueled by the involvement of Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. With the promotions first scheduled for August 30th, fans are already eager anticipating the organization will distinguish itself in the competition landscape of combat sports. We saw these two, what happened with TNA, do you know what I mean? I think that's all we need to say on that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? I don't really know what else to say on that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Hulk Hogan, isn't it? You just don't know.
No, but he did go on to say that the exact comment was, we are not trying to go head to head with Dana White or WWE, but our goal is to just be as big, if not bigger. This is undeserved market, and we are here to change that. I guess we shall see on that one.
Yeah, I'm guessing we'll see how it goes and it plays out.
Yeah, it definitely will. Right then, Annie, should we get into the main event?
Yep, let's do it.
Here we go.
The main event.
Boom. Now, before we take into our main event, we're going to turn our attention to the mid-session interval. Well, obviously, up-and-coming shows up and down the UK and stuff like that. Now, some of these obviously have already been and gone, but you still get the idea for the promotion. So we'll play the video and we'll explain obviously what happens after. So here's a little 2-minute interval.
Ready for stains the horizon, the sky's turning red. Steel claws of vengeance away.
Do you know? I've just realised that song we're playing when it's the last thing was actually war.
Ready for war?
Yeah, and then if you actually look at the last thing, it was actually war.
War. Was
War.
that done intentional?
I don't actually know, to be honest. I just followed the song what you sent. But anyhow, yeah, if you guys ever want to check out the UK promotion scene and stuff like that, all links will be in the description after the show. Go check it out and stuff like that. I mean, because as you know yourself, from Scotland and stuff like that, some incredible promotions.
There is, and as we always say, go check out your local promotion because it's great value, and you'll get to see people that you won't necessarily be able to afford in the future with the way wrestling tickets are going.
No,
and their
absolutely.
prices.
The thing is, I mean, even when I'm doing like interviews and stuff like that, even like the referees or wrestlers and stuff like that, they all say the same thing: go to a show, and get to meet your people.
Yeah.
So
They're so friendly and approachable, the wrestlers as well. The good guys and the bad guys. You tend to find that the bad guys are the best ones to approach. The good guys tend to be arseholes. No, I don't mean that. No. I'm only joking.
yeah, I don't think I've actually had a bad interaction with a wrestler when I get the 8x10s and stuff like that. So
They're all bang on, unless they're grumpy and somebody's got to them before you and messed things up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I met Casey Owens and stuff like that, and I didn't know what to expect, because they're obviously a character and stuff like that. But you know what? She was absolutely terrific.
Yeah. Definitely. You just need a topic. Like when I met Roddy Piper, I didn't talk about wrestling. We talked about Saints Row. Making the game Saints Row because he was in Saints Row.
Was he?
Yeah, seen that scene? You not played?
I played the game, but I completely forgot that you were in it.
There's about 5 games. Ric Flair was in one as well.
That game was just bonkers anyway.
I know.
So, but yeah, we're talking about obviously Chikara. Do you know what I mean? Promotion stuff like that. Now we know obviously what Chikara means. It means power.
Power.
Power. So let's start at the beginning, mate. What was your first, memory or introduction to Chikara?
It was on YouTube, and it was what the was that?
Is that actually true?
Yes. I'm looking at it and I'm going, what the hell is this? This colourful, fun, ridiculously crazy wrestling. With all these people with giant heads and it was just nuts, absolutely nuts.
One thing I loved is, like I said, I mean, that's kind of my thing, obviously, discovering it on YouTube and stuff like that, you're absolutely spot on what you said. That it's just the craziness. You just didn't know what to expect. And, watching the matches and stuff like that. And even, the character names, I think one was, Fire Ant and stuff like that.
Yeah. But was it, what was it called? There was just so many crazy sort of, it was, totally craziness. There was characters like Jigsaw. He was like the Jigsaw piece mask wrestler. But was it Frightmare? You had it was a Hallow Wicked. What was it called? Then you had Young Bucks.
That's a different. I think that a lot of their stuff's on YouTube to watch anyway, isn't it?
Sorry.
I think a lot of their stuff is actually on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've had the main man on your show, so what was it? You'll know about you know a bit about Chikara as well, obviously, because you had Mike on the show and you were talking to him. So,
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we had Mike on the show and stuff like that, but I think like I said, the interaction I had with Mike was absolutely solid guy. Do you know what I mean? Incredible and stuff like that. But I feel like for Mike at the minute, is at a point in his life now where he wants to focus on everything he's doing now, not previous.
Yeah, but I think it's hard. No, I get that. What was it? But it definitely had a big influence in wrestling.
Oh, absolutely, he did and stuff like that. And the thing is with Mike as well. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the guy lived through pretty much every generation of wrestling you can think of. So he's really he's been through obviously the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era and stuff like that. So he's got probably the best knowledge I've ever seen.
Yes, I mean this man has wrestled the original Zeus way back in the Greece in the Colosseum,
Mm-hmm.
with the gladiators, So he's been there a long time. Sorry, but I'm trying to put a bit of humour into it because obviously Chikara was meant to be fun as well. But yeah, he's an absolute a workhorse. You know, he's been around for like forever. You know, and he's a guy that should get more dues in his that he gets. Not that he isn't recognised, but he should get more. You know, so
No,
uh,
absolutely, he is and stuff like that. And like I said, I mean, even the stuff he's like, even if you look at his YouTube channel now,
yeah,
is passing on that knowledge, to the next generation. Because we've always said in here to get to that next stage, I mean, you've got to look at people to like pass that knowledge on. Even like referees, commentators, any type of part of it.
yeah, no, definitely.
But the thing is, I mean, if you look when obviously it all began, it was early 2000, so it was a
Yeah,
weird time.
2002.
Yeah, it was a weird time because I think if I remember rightly, Ring of Honor just started. TNA 2004, right?
Yeah, TNA was around about that time, wasn't it? You know, what was it? You know, TNA went a bit different. They started off with strippers and cages at the side of the stage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Jeff Jarrett. Oh, you gotta love him.
Yeah. But the thing is, the fun fact is, did you actually know that the original school wanted to be called Impact Wrestling?
No, I did not know.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the original wanted to call the school Impact Wrestling, but due to obviously TNA and stuff like that, that wasn't the
Yeah.
case. So that's how it all came about with Wrestle Factory.
Yeah. Did you know that? Did you know that the DX were originally going to be called the Elite, and that's one of the reasons why? Because as much as they won't admit it, that now the Young Bucks were huge, big Shawn Michaels marks, obviously Rockers marks, you know, and what was it? They absolutely fanboyed over him. You know, had posters on his wall. You know, prayed to him every night. But was it Matt more than the other one used to kiss him a good night. He's supposed to good night. But was it at the end of every night? You know, what was it? Had a sort of like Shawn Michaels' buddy that he used to sleep with every night in bed. You know, things like that. You know, so that's where the Elite came from.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
All the original, all these guys that go about hating WWE, you need to know your path. You know, the Elite was a play on words. It was basically the idea of the Elite originally was just to, what was it? Was almost to play the fans online.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, obviously that changed when Shawn Michaels ended up feuding with Bret Hart, and Bret called them a couple of degenerates, and that's where the degenerate name came from.
Okay, there we go. A little bit of history.
Degenerates.
And the one thing I was saying, sticking with obviously Mike and stuff like that, is obviously when I spoke to him and stuff like that, I mean, I did actually spend a bit of time,
Just to clarify, I don't know if Matt and what was it, Nick had Shawn Michaels buddies or anything like that. I'm purely speculating. But it did kiss the poster good night it.
Any, what have I told you about like assuming things? It never goes down well. But yeah, I mean, sticking obviously with Mike and stuff like that. I mean, is it a point now where he's a big, obviously, Mike, for history and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, one of his books, I can't remember exactly which one it was. I've got it on my thing. Is he talks about the first ever like woman's like, wrestler, ever,
Yeah.
and it's an incredible story and stuff like that. But like I said, where do you think Mike stacks up when it comes to the knowledge side of wrestling?
Oh, massive. You know, there's probably only a handful of people now that are just as knowledgeable. And the benefit of using in the business, unlike Uncle Dave, who's never been in the business, he's been an absolute fanboy all his career. You know, he's actually been there, done it, and done stuff. You know, those that can't teach, and those that can't teach do. Wrestling Observer, as they say.
Now it's interesting when we look at obviously Chikara with the People's Wars in the show promotion. We obviously had like CM Punk, Colt Cabana, Chris Hero.
Yeah,
I think Orange Cassidy, Claudio. So there's quite a few like familiar faces.
yeah. Let's cover some of the earlier roster, like Ultra Mantis Black, which was a playing Mantis villain. You know, Blind Rage and Icarus. You know, Mr. Zero. He was like a mass wrestler. What was it? Yeah, well, they were all mass wrestlers mostly. You know, so what was it? And then what was it called? Like you had stables and teams, like Team Fist.
I'm literally looking now, and you've got people like Soldier Ant, Fire Ant, Jigsaw.
Which stood for the Fist stood for Friends in Similar Tights.
I mean, you can just look at any name and go right through it and just absolutely. And that's the thing, do you know what I mean? Even though, like I said, it's a promotion which is comedy and stuff like that, you can't help but look at the names and just smile.
You know, the colony, which was fire ant, soldier ant, and worker ant.
I mean, I've got the cage match up now, and I'm just looking at like the ones from 2004. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
Team Fist, like you said, Wildcards, Dark Breed, Mano Metallico, Sweet and Sour International. What the fuck?
You know,
Men at Work, Joker. Do you know what I mean? There's so many you could go through.
yeah, you know, and Chuck Taylor got his thing with the. There was some serious. I mean, the Kings of Wrestling were there, sort of. What was it? There with Claudio and things. You know, what was it? It was just a fun promotion to see.
Yeah, I don't even know what to be. Do you know? Now, one thing I want to obviously talk about and stuff like that. Now, the training school, the factory, wanted to learn different styles of wrestling, but is that challenging in a way, Haney? Because we know sometimes like a certain like school will learn like lucha libre or something like that. Do you know what I mean? This one school wanted to do every single style.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what was it? It's a difficult one as well because if you want to learn the Japanese style, you go to Japan. If you want to learn Mexican, you go to Mexico. You know, if you want, what was it? What was it? If you want to listen, if you want to learn how to like wrestle the Canadian style, what was it? You obviously you go to Florida. But yeah, there's so many different styles of wrestling, and this one sort of mixed and matched it so much that it was crazy to watch sometimes, you know. And they obviously had seriousness in amongst all this, which was quite funny.
Yeah,
Not
but the
much.
thing is,
Yeah.
yeah, not much like seriously. So how can you take a promotion seriously when they're doing that comedy stuff in a way?
Yeah, you know, yeah, but was it you know, there's just it was just generally a sort of fun promotion. I mean, but the matches were just crazy and fun. What was it called? I mean, it's hard to sort of call out stuff that was sort of what was it? Just to call out some of this, like the crazy. I mean, even the events had really strange names. Like you had the Renaissance Dawn, you know, Operation Big Freeze. You know, what was it? What was it? Bricks and Mortar Combat. What was it? The, the legendary Superpowers Explosion. Explode, sorry. What was it? Chikarasaurus Rex. How to hatch a dinosaur. You know.
What the
What was
hell? Where were you looking?
that was like 2010 or something like that. That was with the Colony and Guido and things like that, you know. There was just absurdness. What was it around the whole sort of
One from 2016, When Nature Calls. You got like Judgment Day, Cruise Control, Temple of Doom, Left Behind. You can't help but smile, can you? Let's be honest.
Yeah, you can't help but smile. That's good fun.
Dude, that's brilliant. But I want to talk about obviously a couple of tournaments which they've obviously made the name for, which was the Young Lions Cup, which was, if I remember rightly, they had to have under a certain amount of matches, you know, under the belt. I think it was 150. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like giving like the up and coming like a chance to like show what they can do.
Yep. No, definitely.
But
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
and that comes from that actually comes from Japan. Really, with the sort of Young Lions sort of elements of things, you know.
Mhm.
The it's just you've got to be like the idea of that is you've got to have so many. Well, not had like a long or rusty career, and it was obviously to showcase new talent, things like that. There probably was a lot of good talent that came out of that, you know. What was it? Our wrestlers that had been on the indie scene, and obviously they were able to hide behind a mask and do some funny stuff for a while, you know. What was it? Just to get a different feel for things, you know. So, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on, you know. So all good, all good.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about obviously 2009 because there was obviously well known for like we see promotions obviously working together. The prime example now is TNA, WWE, AEW, New Japan, if you want to call that. But Chikara obviously got to work with Dragon Gate USA, which we know obviously how big Dragon Gate was at the time.
Yeah, it was huge at the time, and that's probably where that sort of like high flying style came from, wasn't it?
Mhm.
The influence of that, you know, and yeah,
Yeah, and then obviously worked with like several like Japan promotions such as Ice Ribbon, JWP, Sendai, Girls Pro Wrestling. So I think they probably set the bar when it comes to like, do you know, like promotion, like working together.
yeah, no, definitely. That was just like that was the sort of what was it, first incline that wrestling federations at the time were they were called, you know, in the early days, the federations. What we're trying to do. What was it? Obviously, we're trying to like break out of that sort of what happened with WCW and do something different and attract different people. So it was quite interesting that they chose to go down that route and showcase all that sort of talent.
Yeah, it definitely was. And of course, the other big one, which we talked about, is again, it's obviously a big one for those. And I was looking through obviously the past winners, and the 2017 one was three people we know very, very well.
Do we? I'm all
Pete
joking.
Dunne,
Yes, we do.
Trent
We
Seven, and
do.
Tyler Bate.
Yes, but was it New Cats? What was it? New Cats Republic or British Strong Style or one of their other names? I can't remember the other name, but yeah, definitely. But they were at the time. They were everywhere, and like the WWE were so lucky to eventually take them on and do the NXT UK stuff, which was phenomenal. I always remember Walter turning up. What was it? You know, what was it? Blackpool venue just was awesome venue. Just what was it visually to see as a wrestling show. I hope they do something there soon. So good, but yeah, yeah, they were there, you know, and what was it? They were starting to make a name for themselves over in the States, but as well as obviously we knew how big they were in the UK, so pretty fun.
So what was Pete Dunne 2017? He was more BCW, so he was around that area as well.
Yep, Pete was everywhere at that point. You know, he was probably one of the hardest workers in the wrestling. You know, because like you would see him in a UK show one day, and the next show he would be over in like America. You know,
Yeah,
um,
I've just got his cage match up now. I mean, like I said, it was obviously WWE, BCW, ICW, IPW as well. So, like you said, I mean, literally, I think every single promotion I can see here.
yep. And there's probably more that he did, just not listed. You know, because a fan hasn't caught it. I mean, he's been around forever. He's like, what was it? Geez, he's 31 now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that. Like that 2018, you've got WWE, Progress, you've got Fight Club, Attack, Des- Destiny, RPW, WXW, IPW, BWR, you know, MCW, ICW, Defy. Just looking at other ones, you know, there's so many of them. You know, he was wrestling just non-stop, absolute mental. You know,
He was definitely a workhorse. What you were looking at? 2018
I was looking at 2018, obviously 2017 as well. He's BCW.
progress.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
WWE Live, like you said.
Yeah,
Attack. He was in
yeah,
progress a lot.
yep, he
NXT
was.
UK. That is really interesting. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I mean, every single wow, just so many. Yeah, wow. I'm
Yep,
just blown away, literally looking. Do you know how many matches he had just in that year?
yep.
Wow, literally, I have no idea. So, with our favorite promotion, a game comes out. Did you ever get a chance to see the game?
Yeah, it was an interesting game. It was on Xbox Live.
Should we have a look at the trailer?
Yeah, I'll have a look at the trailer. You got the trailer?
I have. Here we go. Boom. Let's have a look. I've turned the sound off because obviously, copyright and shit. In fact, should be all right. Ready?
Well, just
I forgot what year this was.
it was like 2015 or something like that.
Hmm.
Wee boom.
I'm not gonna lie. This looks like a cool game.
It was fun to play. You can still play it. It's called Action. You can actually still get it on the PlayStation and the Xbox, but it's actually called Action Wrestling or something. Arcade Action Wrestling.
What the hell? What's that laser bit?
Oh, there's lots of stupid stuff in it. It's a pretty good game.
Oh dear. I might actually see if I can try and get that.
It's on Steam.
Is it actually?
Yes, but it's called. It's just called Action Arcade Wrestling. Obviously, not to say. Obviously, they lost the license, but a tenner it'll cost you.
A tenant? Actually, I can download it somewhere else. Just saying. Now what we're gonna do is like next week, because Stevie Aaron obviously is a good friend of ours. He has actually reviewed, the game.
Yeah.
But inside the rope. So obviously when he gets chances, he's gonna send me that. So next week we can have a follow-up, about the actual game.
Okay.
So we're definitely curious. I actually asked him about the promotion, what he actually thought. I'm just gonna find the comments so I can get the information correct.
How is Stefan doing? Have you spoken to him recently?
I speak to him pretty often, mate.
I need to stop calling him that. I've never met him. Sorry, I do apologise, Stephen.
Do you know he's on the show in a couple of weeks? He's probably going to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Oh.
He's a good lad, though. I love him to bits.
Yeah, But he started it, let's be honest.
Yeah, so one of the things he wasn't a big fan of was like...
Just to let you know that, what was it, Levi? Was it BCW last weekend? Obviously, I called him Levy because that's the way I am, but...
The thing is, because you called him Levy, so did I. And then I got fucking shouted at for it, essentially.
Yeah.
But it happens, mate, and stuff like that. But yeah, so the big thing is he wasn't a big fan. I was like, it come across like time traveling type things, stuff like that, the bonker stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Dear, but apparently he wasn't a big fan of the promotion, which is fine. I think it was one of those things where it's like Marmite, right?
Yeah. At the time it was fun looking at it. I mean, if I was to watch it now, I'd probably shit all over it.
Yeah, exactly, and stuff like that. I mean, but surprisingly, I think was it 2002 to 2020.
Yeah, I think it was just before them. I don't think it was a COVID thing. I think they were looking at wrapping it up because obviously EW had appeared and they'd basically stolen all the talent from the indie scene.
Yeah,
so yeah, EW killed the indies. Can't wait for that documentary.
Why? Who's actually building it? You?
I'll do it if you want.
Do it. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do it after also the series.
Yeah, but yeah, go. I'm only go check this out because this was so fun because it was so new back then. What was it? Fun memories of watching Chikara.
I'm just looking now. From 2011, they announced the first international pay-per-view titled High Noon, which is kind of an interesting name, would take place on November 13, 2011, would feature the crowning of the first ever champion, the Chikara Grand Champion. The event would again a break-in Chikara attendance record, drawing how many fans?
800, 752.
What?
872.
Close. 864.
That was just a guess.
Oh dear.
I'm just looking at some of the pay-per-view. So they actually had a pay-per-view. One of the last pay-per-views that was actually called Action Arcade Wrestling. It was I was looking at some of the other names. Hour of Power, Top Banana. That was you know, it was tied to Space Monkey Banana Obsession. You remember the Space Monkey game?
Yes, I can. Of course, I can.
Yeah. What was it called? Hiding in Plain Sight, which was a play on sort of spy. It'd be a hidden, teasing hidden plots. They had a lot of sort of what was it, in jokes and Easter eggs in the name of what they were doing in the pay per view and what happened in the pay per view as well. You know, some good spots. So obviously one of the most famous spots is Chuck Taylor. You know, with his exploding grenade.
The thing is, I remember watching that for the first time, and everyone in the ring just sold it so well. It was just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, that's why Jim Cornette hates him.
Jim Cornette hates a lot of people. Just saying.
Yeah, but he's allowed. He's allowed. You know, he's allowed.
Yeah, it definitely was. So 2015, obviously streaming become a big part, and they released Chikara Topia for obviously in the UK scene, which I mean, streaming serves obviously a big part and stuff like that, but it never really came to. It did take off, but not as big as they hoped.
Yeah, things were getting interesting in wrestling around that point. WWE absolutely stank. They weren't doing anything. You know, but at that point they had just like signed up most of the indie talent at that point. You know, to NXT. Like El Generico retired, and what was it called? And then some dude called Sami Zayn appeared. But then you have Kevin Owens. You'd, yeah, pretty much the indie scene. Anybody that was big in the indie scene then sort of either materialised in NXT or a couple of years later were signed. What was it, to EW? A lot of the guys were over in Japan doing the Bullet Club stuff, you know, and tied in with that with being an elite, you know. What was it called? Like all that silliness and stuff. Like the being elite and all that. That's it's promotions like this. That's where they stole all these ideas from. You know, what was it? Chikara was a trend-setting promotion. You know, and set the way for things to come, but a lot less chaotic now.
Less chaotic, you say?
I mean now, as opposed to what Chikara was. You know, but they laid the groundwork for the whole. Them and sort of PWG laid the groundwork for basically what EW is. You know, all that high flying, widdly wankery stuff. You know, in
Yeah. Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So 2020, obviously, they obviously seized operations for allegations of obviously misconduct within the company. I don't know obviously all the facts and stuff like that, and I don't want to obviously assume what's happened and stuff like that. So for people obviously watching this, go obviously research yourself, find the information out, because we don't want to, get the information wrong in it, because, what I mean? It doesn't look good in a way if we get it wrong.
Yeah, and it's yeah. Go read about it. And obviously read about the outcomes and things like afterwards. You know, because it's not obviously at the time it's controversial and I'm guessing the topic still is. But yeah, what was it? You just need to understand that the promotion continued on after that as well. So that tells you a bit more about that. You know.
No, absolutely is and stuff like that. So, a few more questions here, because obviously begin to wind down, mate, and stuff like that. What do you think the legacy is for Chikara? Because, like you mentioned it there, do you know what I mean? They set the foundation for like the comedy style of wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Not taking things too seriously. The AEW thing, which you just mentioned there.
Well, I've said it. AEW. That's where the legacy is. That and PWG is the legacy. It was AEW is for me. That's what it is. It's just not like uh, over the top, you know. But what was it? This is a foundation for it, you know. Ring of Honor. set a more serious tone to things, and this
Mhm.
had this had the sort of silliest things, and the two have sort of like amalgamated now, you know. But yeah, what was it called? This is, for good or bad, modern wrestling. If you go watch the matches, you know, take out the craziness and the silliness that's going on in the matches and watch the matches. This is modern wrestling.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Do you know what I mean? We do see it a lot more. Do you see it more on the big wrestling scene, or do you see it more like the indies type stuff?
A bit of both. I mean, did you see the spot in AEW with the elbows, the missing of the
I've not
elbows?
watched it. I've not watched AEW for a while, mate. I'll be honest with
Oh,
you.
right. I'll send you a link to it afterwards, and yeah, I mean that's a total spot out of this. You know, where they're all trying to do a what was it, the guy's on the ground, and they're all trying to do an elbow on the guy,
Oh,
and then
yes, I have seen that.
yeah, and he goes down, and then he misses, and then the next guy comes down and he misses. That's Chikara. You know, what was it called? People refer to it as an indie spot, but that's what that's essentially where these things came from. You know, the silliness of it all. You know, so um, just what was it? I think Tony's relying on people not have seen some of the stuff that's already been done.
But the power of the internet now, do you know what I mean? Everyone can access it just like that.
Yeah, but yeah, they can access it. It's whether or not they want to see it. The problem with people is their attention span's very low, and they don't want to now, and they don't want to engage in stuff that's. They think what they see is what sort of innovated it, you know, and it's not the case. To an extent, the WWE as well. The WWE's got a bit of it as well, you know, and it's 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 creeped into wrestling, and it's caused a lot of the psychology and the what was it, and the technical side of wrestling to sort of disappear more for the spots rather than the what was it, the match itself. What was it? And again, we're trying to keep it positive. That's not a dig. At the time, it was different, something different, you know. But now it's overdone and it's completely saturated the whole industry. I feel. What was it, to an extent? What was it? Most people are doing it, which is I don't like enjoy watching it all the time.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I mean, we do see it like I said a lot. I don't see it much, like I said, obviously in UK wrestling and stuff. I know obviously it's out there and stuff like that, but it's definitely
Yeah.
not as big as it is in the big like wrestling scene.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because you know, I mean, there is promotions out there, but if you go watch like the UK scene, a lot of the UK scene, what was it? There's a lot of character development in the UK scene. You know,
Hmm.
what was it that you get to see? Well, you know yourself, some of the guys in the UK are just phenomenal with what they do with the character and how they embrace their character. You know, so um, it's difficult to compare it.
Yeah, it definitely is. I always remember
Because
what. Sorry.
I always got the impression when what was it that like guys would go to Chikara at the end of a month just to have some fun after a hard month, going to places like Ring of Honor and that and doing serious stuff, you know. But with a promotion like this, they could go and what was it, lose themselves and do silly stuff, you know. And it happens at EW and WWE as well. But after after the sort of TV thing and the cameras go off, they do silly stuff like this in the ring, you know. Um, so it's it's there, you know, and I think this is where one of the places that it sort of originated from.
Yeah, I always remember what Psycho Boy Fodder said. He said that he had no problem being on the Indies because he was in control. Do you know what I mean? He could do obviously the character to his own way. And you think when
Uh-huh.
he comes to like Chikara, that's kind of like the same thing. Have a bit of fun, loosen up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Just have a bit of fun with your character and listen up. Like at like at what was it? The recent WWE show. After the show, what was it? It was like a triple. You've seen the spot with the referee doing the flip, but what was it, the sending thing with? But what you don't see is CM Punk come down first, and then Cody's music hit, and CM Punk. I've got a video actually. CM Punk jumps into the crowd and starts acting like a maniac. What was it? A Cody fanboy jumping about, waving his arms, screaming, and going, "Oh my God, it's Cody!"
Dear. This is
Some
it's
stuff like
moments.
that.
It's moments like that when it makes it fun, though, right?
Yeah, that's where the crowd goes a wee happy because I've seen something that, like, that's the bad thing about the internet. You see everything on the internet. People film it. I do like the idea of these venues now banning people from using their phone at concerts and things like that, because you don't want to sit and. It always pissed me off going to like a Raw taping and the guy in front of you had their phone up and they were filming it, and it's like fuck's sake, Doug, it's going to be on the television in a couple of hours. What are you filming it for?
I mean, the thing is, I'm kind of guilty of that because I do obviously like to record the entrances. Do you know, like wrestlers and stuff?
No, that's different. Like, that's different because I've already said that I recorded I recorded the aftermath when the cameras went off. That's different. But sitting through like a live TV show that's been filmed and filming it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I guess you're right and stuff like that.
I know I'm right. I know I'm right.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, mate. I'm not going to argue because I can't board. So, any final thoughts, mate, before we wind down?
Just what was it? Go check it out. It's fun. It's a fun sort of promotion to sort of see, and you'll have a blast with some of the matches. You don't need to. There was elements of storyline and that going on, but you don't. You can just go watch a Chikara match and not know the context behind it. Watch the match, and then if you want to find out the context, go find out about why the pay-per-view was called that, or things like that. But it was good.
It definitely was. It definitely was and stuff like that. So, Haney, this is obviously episode 1. Episode 2 next week, we're looking at Lucha Underground.
Yes, that's another interesting one that what was it to sort of look into, because that sort of manifested into some of the biggest names in wrestling now. Like what was it, Penta, Ray, Chelsea Green was there. You had a whole host of EW guys there as well.
Ray
Swerve and
Phoenix.
things like that. Yep.
Prince Pele, which is, I think was Ricochet, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Well, don't talk to me about him. He's a Andrew Tate.
Fuck's sake, Haney.
Well, he looks like Andrew Tate. Yeah.
I'm not even going to argue with you.
Why not? Come on. Argue
Now,
with me.
we're nearly at an hour, mate. Do you know what I mean? We're kind of like on a good little vibe today.
Go on.
It's
Go on.
I'm not a bit fun. A little bit of that.
Go on. Sorry?
And fuck's sake, Haney.
Do you know what TV show that's from?
No.
Father Ted. Where he goes, come on, he goes, cup of tea, Father. And he goes, no. She goes, go on. And she goes, go on. Cup of tea. Go
And
on, Father.
eventually just like, okay.
No. But was it, he went, okay, and then she went, no, Father. You don't want a cup of tea, Father.
Oh, dear. And it's always
Do you know
absolutely...
Do you know that Shameless ruined Mrs. You've seen Father Ted, haven't you?
I have seen some episodes, yes.
Yes. Shameless absolutely ruined Father Ted for me, because seeing Mrs. Doyle wear bitsuit getting banged by Frank Gallagher really just destroyed that whole...
And on that bombshell,
Yes.
if you guys want to support the show, you can head to The Magic of Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as always. Like I said, next week we're going to be looking at, obviously, Lucha Underground. We might see if Tiffany's obviously available for this one.
No, definitely.
And stuff like that. And yeah, I've got some more interviews coming up. Next episode, obviously, of Show for 3 drops on May 30th. All the information will be released tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, as always, thanks for watching, guys. Thank you all so much for your support. Annie, go on, I'll let you have the final say.
Okay, so in this place, you either laugh or you cry, and I ain't much of a crier, so bye.